as you can see, I have a guest with me tonight that I am so excited to introduce to you all. Alrighty, good evening, everyone. I'm Christina M. Johnson of Testimony Publishers, LLC, Entrepreneurs Who Rise, and Self-Publishers Hub. And I am welcoming you to this live event tonight. So say hello. Let's make sure we can hear you well. Dr. Uzziah Harris, are you there?
I'm there. How's everybody doing? Good evening.
Awesome. So we can hear you loud and clear. Everything's clear. We can see you. And we even have a few people that are already joining us. So welcome. Come on in. I want you all to share this out because we need as many people to see this live stream or to see the replay of this live stream, because what we are going to be talking about this evening, it concerns our families. It concerns our communities, our churches. So this is going to be a conversation that you do not want to miss. So please share this out. If you are on live, give me a hashtag live so that we can acknowledge you. If you're watching the replay, go ahead, hashtag replay so that we can jump on in and just say hi and thank you for watching the replay. All right. So as you all know, some of you may know Testimony Publishers, LLC is a publishing company. We help people share their stories, their expertise and their experiences through the written word. So whether it's in an ebook, a print book, or on stage, we actually help you to be able to hone your skills and share to your community, to your family, and build a lasting legacy. Dr. Uzziah is here with us. He is our author spotlight, our highlight and feature for the evening. I want to introduce you before we even get into what we're going to be talking about. We have a lot to talk about. Your book, things you're doing in the community, upcoming events. So I want to read a little bit of your bio so I can, I may not do it justice, but I want to at least take a shot. All right, here it goes. All righty, so Dr. Uzziah Harris, the very name embodies strength because Uzziah means strength of God. He has been tirelessly investing in the lives of people and communities for decades. He has left a lasting legacy already for himself and his family through culture, human rights, civil rights. He's been on a journey as a dedicated middle school teacher, starting out in Richmond, Virginia, during the late 1990s, where he first discovered his passion for empowering others. Throughout his distinguished career, Dr. Uzziah has worn many hats, excelling as a qualified mental health professional, recreation center supervisor, human services program administrator, and even as a Richmond City Council aide. His commitment to community engagement has been the driving force behind his endeavors, rooted in the profound belief that we are all interconnected. For him, the mission to guide those lost back to their true selves and paths is an innate calling that shapes his very existence. Dr. Harris is a multi-talented individual, also holding the titles of a certified life coach, ordained minister. He also has been ordained by the esteemed Association of Evangelical Gospel Assemblies. He's also a scholar with a profound thirst for knowledge. He obtained his undergraduate degrees in psychology and education from the College of William and Mary in 1999. And he also sought educational opportunities after that with the university's Virginia Union University's School of Theology. In 2012 and 2014, Dr. Harris earned both his Master of Divinity, let me get this right, and Doctor of Divinity degrees, respectively, from Virginia Triumphant College and Seminary, a testament to his dedication and scholarly pursuit of a deeper understanding of faith. He is also a pastor. He's a teacher. So I can go on for probably over an hour, but I'm going to stop and let Dr. Harris, Dr. Uzziah Anthony Harris, just say a little bit and talk a little bit about you and how it feels to have done all of these things throughout your lifetime thus far.
I think that the scary thing is Many times when I look back at it and I look at what I'm doing, I can only give glory to God first and foremost, because I know who I am. I know my multitudinous shortcomings, right? As we all do, we all fall short. And I know if left to my own devices, half the things God has allowed me to accomplish, surely there isn't any way in the world that I would have accomplished it. Many times I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, hey, I'm just living my life. I'm not doing anything extraordinary. I'm not doing anything that is abnormal. I'm not in any way an anomaly. I'm really an underachiever, and I have a little bit of time left to do a whole lot more. And so I find myself having to calm myself and be much more grateful. And I think as I've gotten older, I've become much more grateful. Hey, we need to stop looking in other people's lanes, and we need to be thankful for the lane God put us in. And we need to maximize our own opportunities. And we need to be content, not complacent. Those are two different things. We need to be content with what God is doing based on what we gave God to work with. So when I look at what I gave God to work with, Sister Christina, I know I didn't give him a whole lot. I probably should be giving him a whole lot more. God has done amazing things with this little life. And I just pray while I have a little more vigor, while I have a little more time, that I am living in such a way that I'm maximizing what God is giving me, and that I'm living in a way that he's pleased.
Amen. Amen to that. I think to a certain extent, many of us feel that way, that we just may not be given enough, but sometimes, I think God looks down on people like you and others and says, that definitely glorified me, son, or that definitely glorified me, daughter. Thank you. And it is pleased. So the work you've done in your family and your community is definitely commendable. In reference to your book, many of us, we can see it. Hopefully everyone watching can see your book in the background, Trial by Fire. Just the title alone is intriguing. I want to talk a little bit about that. And then I'm going to get into some questions about some of the things that you're doing in the community now, and what God has you doing on Sundays and all of that. But in Trial by Fire, some people have called it a catalyst for self-reflection. After reading it, they have been able to kind of look at some of the things that they do or say or even think, and try and change those things or purpose to change those things. Share a little bit about some of the principles in Trial by Fire, deliberations over the soul of America, that your readers and our viewers can take away and maybe implement in their lives.
Right. So, it's very interesting, the providence of God. I remember as it was coming together, I didn't know it was going to be what it currently is. And even now, God whispers in my ear, eyes haven't seen, nor ears heard. I'm just scratching the surface. I think it's one thing, and God is showing me every day that he's doing something entirely different. We're coming off the heels of what seemed to be 2016, 2017, the resurgence of very overt, open police brutality, where we are beginning to see the disintegration of civility as it relates to American politics and just civil discourse in general. You see a group of people who now look at 2000 plus, if you will, and say, this doesn't look much different from 1950, whatever, and are becoming more vocal about our history, more vocal about our present, and wanting to have much more determination and autonomy over our future. And so I actually started it as a series of just writings, if you will. Some were essays, some were quasi-journal entries, some were just, a brief thought after watching the news or being exposed to yet another bit of disappointment on social media or what have you. And it became this sort of allegory, this sort of fictional yet non-fictional work with history attached to it and social critical commentary attached to it, that I believe offers at least some people the opportunity both to see their voice and others to hear voices not traditionally heard, and be able to decide, where we want to go from there. There are so many different themes in this particular book, Trial by Fire. When you talk about biblical reaping and sowing, and maybe people don't know about biblical reaping and sowing, so I'll secularize it and say accounting and accountability. At some point, we have to pay the piper, and I believe that time is near. The theme of truth never being hidden or held hostage for long, because I don't think that the truth is hidden. I think we've held it hostage. I think we've tried to manipulate it. I think that it has been whitewashed. I think that it has been flooded and surrounded, maybe even and attempted to be canceled out with a series of lies. But truth never, ever, ever stays hidden. It outlasts even the most vicious lie. Mm-hmm. And we're at a place and time in our history where I believe truth will stand for itself and we will be forced to choose a side. And based on what our choices are, I believe will determine the fate of our nation. There's a spirit of diversity in the book. So if you're familiar with the book, you haven't read it, please go take a read, right? You get a series of voices who are on the jury. This is a jury of peers, African Americans, who are judging the crimes of America. These crimes are laid out, articulated with history, laid out with a certain meticulousness. This is not just some sort of intense, visceral feeling. No, these are the charges codified in black and white, and America must answer to those. Yet in that, when you look at the jury, like any other jury, even though all of these persons are persons of African descent or descendants of the enslaved, there are many different voices in the room. And I think that's important. And these voices come into conflict with each other, right? Because many people think that black people are a monolith. No, black people are no more a monolith than white people or pink people or polka dot people or any other people. You get two people in the room, they can be in the same house, grow up with the same mother and father, and you're going to have different perspectives. And so you see the clash of these perspectives, and you get to see a full picture, the full gamut of emotions and sentiment as it relates to African-American people who are here in the United States of America. And you get to ride with that. You get to ride on that journey with the ebbs and flows. You get to decide where you fall. You get to agree or disagree. But it's all food for thought, once again, because I believe if we don't begin to look at ourselves more critically with the intention of wanting to do something about it. My grandfather dealt with racism. My daddy dealt with racism. I grew up with racism. Why are our children still growing up with the same thing? At some point, we need to put it to bed and realize if we don't, our own nation is in trouble. So the last theme there is that we have a voice, right? We have a voice, and that our voice becomes the ultimate determinant in the destiny of our nation.
Wow. What's so fascinating to me is the analogy that the story is written in, or allegory. Because it is an actual trial. Like, you are putting America on trial. And I was just thinking of like Law and Order in the back of my head, and it was just like, okay, you got down to the bottom of it. You have evidence, you have people's witnesses, you have opinions being stated, facts being stated, and truths that are realized by the end of the book. But for the reader, though, the reader still has to make a decision. And I thought that was just a really intriguing place to kind of leave the reader to actually make a decision. Are you going to move forward with this truth, make a change, or, are you going to be complacent, like you just mentioned, and stay the same? As a life coach, I want you to think about what you wrote in the book and how some of those truths and the evidences that had been presented, how does that affect the lives of the very people that have to still kind of live with the actual effects of it and even residual effects of some of the things that have occurred in the United States of America concerning its citizens of African slaves?
Yeah, I think part of the biggest misconception is that when you think about the historicity of slavery and the aftermath of it, because, most people, there are some people who want to relegate the suffering of certain persons to just that. And then they want to be able to say, well, slavery ended a long time ago, and so everything should be fine now. And what we fail to consider are the after effects, both in law and in practice that continue to persist, right? You look at your current prison system now, and it finds its beginnings in peonage, which directly is an offshoot of slavery. What we try to conjecture and feel like is that it's a Black problem, that their trauma is their trauma. What America doesn't really give enough credence to is that all persons were traumatized by this particular experience. When you talk about the desensitizing of one group of people because they had to justify a barbaric wrong. Mm-hmm. When you talk about the hidden shame of some persons, right? Because this is not who I am, and I can't help that my ancestors were this way, right? That's a lot of your discussion as it relates to education and those circles around what some people characterize as CRT or critical race theory, right? It's a big misnomer, right? Because everybody knows that there's no such thing as critical race theory in elementary, middle, or high schools. It's become really the umbrella of, I don't want to talk about, quote unquote, the tough stuff because we're going to be uncomfortable. So part of the job of the life coach is understanding trauma and not being willing to open wounds and not leave them open at the end of the session. So that's part of it, right? Understanding that when I started on this journey, my job isn't to simply be some type of prognosticator. This is where we're headed because of where we've been, or simply be what many people are, a diagnostician. This is the problem. Everybody knows the problem. We have to get to the place where we're talking about solutions. And what is interesting about life coaching is my job as a life coach is never to give solutions, but to help folks find solutions, right? And we're talking about the paradigms, the thought process that create habits, that create cyclical behavior, that create recurring issues in persons' lives. The life coach has to help that person deconstruct their thinking, those paradigms, to hopefully change behavior, and then as a consequence, be able to have a different result. So as it relates to anyone's life goals, career goals, particularly relationships. And when you talk about racism in America, you're talking about relationship. A nation decided that they would not have relationship with a certain group of people unless they were deemed subhuman. And that type of behavior has had long-lasting effects even today, right? And you can go back just, you don't have to go back far. You go back to maybe 2018-ish, right? Under the former presidency. And we as a nation were literally putting children in cages, setting them before judges, and they didn't even speak the language. They didn't have an advocate. Some of them were lost in the foster system. And we did no more than a shoulder shrug because we are desensitized, because we have a history of dehumanizing those we don't consider us, pun intended, US, right? And so my job as a life coach, hopefully, is to look at that trauma, is to dig into that trauma with the client, helping them to pull out, again, those very deep-seated thought patterns and behaviors and try to disrupt those things to get a much different outcome.
Thank you so much for watching this video to this point. Now, if you have watched this much of the video, our content must be resonating with you. You probably have made the commitment in your mind to go ahead and write your book, but you may not know where to get started. You may not know how to actually go about writing and publishing your book, and that's fine. I am here to help. My husband Anthony, our children J. Fam Johnson, and our expert team at Testimony Publishers LLC are here to help you. So click on the link below, and that link is going to take you to our website where you can find out more information. You can get free resources, free tools, and training to help you write and publish your life-changing book. You've been called for a time such as this. Answer the call and be obedient to the calling of the Lord to write and publish your life-changing book. Right. When you think about, and you touched on being a life coach and what that means for the person that you're actually helping, but what if someone is unable to, say, get to you, and hire you as a life coach? What are some things that they may be able to do, at home or in their thought processes or implement in their lives, where they can kind of get a feel-good win that, okay, this is where I am, and this is a start, something that they can do and kind of motivate or encourage them or empower them to move forward and continue in the process of healing?
Yeah, I think education is extremely important. I think that at least in communities of color for a long period of time, what we have known, and maybe if this was a byproduct of segregation, we knew if we were going to be educated and socialized, that education and socialization had to take place outside the mainstream context, that the books that you were reading could not be the be all and end all of information, that the educators who were dispensing the information, whether well-intentioned or not, could not be the end all and be all of education. So what we had to do was go outside of those realms and seek and search for the truth. I think it starts with education and truth. And with that comes the inventory, right? Because once I've become educated about a thing, then I can take inventory. This is what I'm pleased with. This is the direction that I'm happy with. These are some things I wish could change. And once you decide on those things, then it's easier to decide, okay, what needs to be done? What steps should I take with this particular situation that I am unhappy with, that I want to see a change in? Excellent.
That it works. That works for so many people because it's easy. You can, reflect, and then you can decide to say, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to make a concerted effort to do this. Now, that's kind of related to the person, the individual. What about churches? What would you say Trial by Fire kind of presents to churches within our communities in reference to acknowledging the issue and implementing change or being a catalyst for change?
Yeah, I think that, I'm glad you asked that. Thank you. I pastor a church. I'm proud to pastor a church here in my locality of Culpeper, Virginia. I've been pastor there for 2 years. I've pastored 2 other churches before. And what I wholeheartedly believe in, historically, you can find the truth in, is the power of the church to change a community, to change a nation. Without the church, whether it was the Black church or and I even scarce to say Black church, right? But we understand that was the driver of the civil rights movement. And then later, we became a little more of the universal church, and other people came in, people of different faiths even, to walk together with us. But we have to be more holistic. That's first and foremost. Dad used to say something to me, don't be so heavenly minded, you're no earthly good, right? We quote in the church a lot, we're in the world, but not of the world. But you miss the point. You still are in the world. For the time being, you're in the world, you're here. And if we are here, then we ought to have impact. And that only happens if the church is holistic. It's not just pie in the sky. It's not just quoting scripture. It's about living scripture, right? And so we have to begin to help people understand the importance of God beyond the walls of the sanctuary. Notice I didn't say church. Beyond the walls of the sanctuary. If we're going to be the church, God must exist outside the walls of the sanctuary. Secondly, I think that churches must have to be unabashed in how they are positioned by God as the conscience of this nation.
Right.
I want you just for a second to close your eyes and think about if the church had not been in America, what would America be? Wow. Your abolitionist movement is driven by the church. Your civil rights movement is driven by the church. Listen, if the church did not exist in the United States of America, as flawed as it may be, as flawed and westernized as its representation may be, think about how much further America would have gone in her barbarism, in her greed, in her mistreatment of, again, those who were initially deemed as others. So we have to do that. We have to speak truth to power. But I think finally, churches have to be better at preparing their congregants to enter all facets of society and have impact. So I should be, as a pastor, training up a set of politicians who believe in God. I should be raising up the next set of educators who teach with the love of God in their heart. I should be raising bankers and financial leaders who lead understanding that money answereth all things, but the greed of money, that is in fact a wicked thing. And so once we begin to do that, we prepare an army so that we can truly, like Jesus said, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. When the church truly infiltrates every spot in the earth, then many of the problems that exist today should not be as much of a problem.
Wow. That is profound. It's simple, but it's profound because of the depths of it. If the church, in fact, is that backbone and the heart of our very society, how much different would it be to live here in the United States of America? And that brings me to another thought that I wanted you to address as far as advice that you would give to someone who is thinking about issues like these, really, really tough topics. So even just sharing their story and experiences in writing Trial by Fire, you've learned a lot of things about yourself, about, getting the word out, about sharing ideas. What would you suggest to other people who may want to write about these types of topics and events?
I think it's a truly special thing. I've been writing for a while, right? Not as a so-called professional writer, but God blessed me long time ago to have this love for writing, knack for writing. As we've moved into this postmodern, technological 21st century age that is digitized, I still love writing and still believe that in the eons to come, just like we found the Dead Sea Scrolls, there will still be writing that is influencing men and women. There's something about writing that I believe transcends time and is able to fuel the ideas of men and able to revolutionize the world. And so what I say to people, anybody, is trust your voice first and foremost. I do believe it's God-given. I do. I happen to believe that. And if you're given something to say, realize that if you don't say it, it doesn't get said. Many times we're sitting back waiting, thinking that this makes sense. Everybody's thinking this. This is a no-brainer. But sometimes it takes someone to say it. It takes someone to be able to read it because you said it. That becomes the catalyst. That becomes the beginning of that rolling snowball that is able to pick up both momentum and size. So trust your voice. Whatever it is that's been placed in your heart, make sure you get it out. Because once we're done with this particular life, we don't have it in this way anymore. When I started writing, the pressing sentiment for me was, if you don't say it, you take it to the graveyard. And I just didn't want to do that. One person can read what you write and they can turn around and change millions. And so we never know, right? And so you got to get it out there. If it stays inside of you, it doesn't have impact. But if you use your voice and it gets out there, what did Paul say as a preacher? He said, some people plant, some people water, God gets the increase. My job isn't to worry about how many readers I have. Now, mind you, I would love to be a New York Times bestseller. I can't wait to get this in a lot of people's hands. I would love to go all over the country to places and speak on this, but that's not my bag. That's not my job. God gave me something, and I just need to go ahead and get it out and leave the results to the God that inspired me to do that. And I would say that to anybody.
Awesome. I thought about so much. Every time you speak, I have so many different thoughts going through my mind and different scriptures that are coming up that I want to address, but we don't have a whole lot of time. I just want to stay and continue to talk and just let you speak and get some of the ideas and thoughts out that you have that are just so profound. But I do want you to finish up with any last thoughts that you have in reference to, what you purposed your book to be about and what you want it to do for the people that have the opportunity to read it. And then any last words that you would leave with our audience tonight.
Okay. I would hope that it spurs a sense of interconnectedness and responsibility. I think that the issue that relates to race in this country, and some people would say, why do we keep talking about that? We keep talking about that because it is one of the core values of our nation. We can try to dismiss it, and that truly would be disingenuous of us to do that. We have to begin to take it and understand that it is an issue that should matter for everyone. It has to matter for everyone because there is a common triumph or a common failure that we are going to experience as Americans. We have vaunted ourselves as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we have to understand, what does the Bible say? God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man sows, so shall they reap. And so if we want to keep circling around the mountain, let's keep ignoring it. And one day watch it implode in such a way that we can no longer repair it. Or we can begin to deal now and do the necessary work for radical transformation. And this is the part that no one wants to hear. Martin King spoke of this some time ago in 68-ish before he passed, that for America to be changed, America must change. That sitting in a restaurant didn't cost America a whole lot. As a matter of fact, it helped America's economy and destroyed the Black community as a byproduct. But that's another discussion for another day. Oh,
my goodness.
What's going to cost America is this radical transformation in this social structure and systematic structure that has quietly and loudly supported ideals of supremacy and dominance. And that means someone's going to have to give up some stuff because they never should have had so much stuff to begin with. And that doesn't sit well with people. But I'll leave everyone with this. I was riding in the car and listening to scripture the other day. And this was part of the reason that I went to write it in the first place. Nestled in Genesis, you're going to find somewhere around verse 15-ish or somewhere, Abram, who is Abraham. Now, all three monotheistic faiths know him as a father of the faith, has a bad dream. And God says to him somewhere in there that your people will be taken away into a foreign land, and they will be oppressed for 400 years. He says, but I will punish that nation that mistreats them, and they will leave more wealthy than going in. Now, many people understand that to mean many different things, right? That already happened in 1948. Maybe it did. That already happened. But then they don't necessarily understand the very timeless nature of God's word. I do not believe that it is possible to viciously and purposely mistreat a group of people. Listen, COINTELPRO is real. The CIA's attack on Black communities was real. The infiltration of the Black Panther and other power structures was real. The targeting of young Black men is real. The prison pipeline is real. You cannot continually, viciously destroy the lives of people and not have to answer for that. And to those who say that I'm not a part of the problem, if you're not a part of the solution, you are in fact part of the problem. Mm-hmm. There must be a reckoning one way or another. As a teacher, I know this. Either I pour everything I can into kids to help educate them, or because I didn't spend enough time with them on the front end, I'll see them on the back end, maybe as a victim of violence. America has a choice to make. We can make people whole and do the right thing. We can understand, hey, if you can give reparations to slave owners at the conclusion of the Civil War, if you can give reparations to Asian Americans justly deserved under the Reagan administration, if you can give reparations, though little, to the indigenous people of the United States of America, surely you can do much more for the descendants of those who have been enslaved and after enslaved, victim of Jim Crow, and after that, victim of any and every manner of residue of discrimination and racism that we see even today.
Amen. Well, I tell you, this has been enlightening. It has caused me to think a lot. Hopefully those people who are viewing either live or the replay will be able to glean what you purposed from your book and from what you spoke about tonight, and move forward in an empowered way from this entire conversation. Are there any questions? Let me just check the comments before I let you go, Dr. Uzziah. So I do have some people on live with us. Thank you all so much for joining us live. We appreciate.
How's everybody doing? Hey.
They could be anywhere, but they are here with us tonight, Dr. Uzziah. All righty. So I have, I see Jennifer. You are on. Thank you so much for your comments. Mrs. Jennifer, definitely on. You are a Proverbs 31 woman. Thank you so much.
Amen. Amen.
Yes. We have Dr. Lana is joining us this evening. She says hello. She's thanking you, Dr. Uzziah. She also says so excited to be here. We have Daquan who's given stars. So thank you so much for that. So we have some people joining us. Anyone who has questions, leave the questions here in the comments. Myself and Dr. Uzziah, when he has time, he'll come back and definitely greet you and address your questions and reply to them. And those last words that you gave with a reckoning, that struck a chord with me, because that applies to every area of existence. There is a cause and an effect. So there has to be a reckoning of some sort. So if we can all get involved and purpose to behave righteously and do what God has called us to do, and make a positive impact on our communities, I believe the message that you purposed in Trial by Fire will make a great impact and be a catalyst for change in people's lives, their families, and their communities. So I thank you for your time. Where can we find your book? Let's make sure we put that out there and in the comments as well. I'll see if I can get the link from Amazon while you're speaking.
Okay. Yeah. So you can find it Amazon.com. Absolutely. That is the primary place. Go check it out. There are a couple of other titles there as well. Now that we think about it, You can also find me at www.duzziah, DRUAH. So Dr. UAH, Uzziah Anthony Harris, www.druah.org. You will find a number of links associated with some of the things I do in terms of speaking and preaching, as well as ways to reach out to me and get to you. I do book fairs. I do church conferences. I do anything, simply because I believe we are in a time and season that we have to stand up and be counted, right? Stand up and be counted. So I can be reached on Instagram, Dr. UZZIAH, Dr. UZZIAH. And you will find me generally on all platforms that way. Twitter is the same way. LinkedIn is the same way. Facebook, Uzziah Anthony Harris, just as simple as it can be, just my name. And so I look forward to hearing from you. You can find me, my personal business page, Faith Matters, on Facebook. Faith Matters, because it does, or at least it should, right? If man has faith the size of a mustard seed, they can say to the mountain, you don't have to put your hands on it, be thou removed, and it will be cast. And it's time for us to walk in faith and begin to move some of the mountains and other impediments that have kept us from being able to travel along the way.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time, for your energy, and just the wealth of knowledge that you are in our community. We are proud to call you pastor, doctor, brother, and we look forward to your future successes. There are many to come. God has not only a plan for you, but a purpose, prosperity, and we just bless you and bless your wife and your family. So thank you again for your time. Good night, everyone. We're going to let Dr. Uzziah go as far as the live stream is concerned, and we have to have him on again. So I don't know when that will be, but we're going to talk about that and see if we can't get him back here. So good night, everyone. God bless you. And remember to rise and shine.
Amen.